evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the guest lecture series by Emeritus India Career Services. I'm Shivam Gupta, and I'll be moderating this session today. Now, if you have any questions during the session, please type them into the Q&A box, and I'll bring them up during a Q&A round at the end. We'll use the chat option for interaction throughout the session. For our session today, we have with us Prabhas Abhayakumar. Prabhas is a highly accomplished senior technology executive with over 25 years of experience in operational and strategic leadership roles across banking, logistics, and retail domains. His expertise lies in driving digital transformation initiatives, spearheading growth-focused digital product and platform development, establishing offshore delivery centers, and leading technology teams. Currently serving as Vice President at Associate General Global Solutions Center in Bangalore. Prior to his current role, he held positions in startups, IT services, and consulting organizations in India, Belgium, and the United States. Prabhas, it is a pleasure to have you with us here. Welcome again, and the stage is all yours.
Thanks, Shivam. Good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to everyone for this session. I know Thursday evening is almost like a weekend, right? So I hope the next 1 hour will be fruitful. I would like to make it interactive as much as possible. So do stop me in the middle, type your questions, and Shivam will help with those questions, and I'll be glad to answer them. I don't want to make it a monologue. While I have a presentation, the value from this session will be more in terms of the insights and experience that I would share on this topic. Right. So let me start by sharing my screen. So the last time I did a webinar was sometime in October, November of last year. I taken a break for about 3-4 months the beginning of this year. However, what I find it interesting compared to the scenario 6 months back to now is the advancement of ChatGPT, right? Unrelated things, right? So I was thinking while I was putting this presentation together, saying, why would the audience be interested to come and listen to me, right? You could type this, how to foster innovation in digital transformation. ChatGPT will give you tons and tons of material, right? So what is the value add in me sharing insights about this topic would be in terms of my personal experience and bringing a different perspective and varied perspective on this subject, right? So hopefully after the end of this session, you would feel that Prabhas was better than ChatGPT. That would be an achievement for me, right? Okay, that was on the lighter note, right? So as the presentation title says, today I will be talking about how to foster innovation in the digital transformation, right? I hope you all can see my screen. 1 minute.
Yeah, Prabhas, you can see.
Yes, okay. So what will we cover today, all right? I'll just talk about few buzzwords to give some clarity on some terminology, right? And we'll talk briefly about what are the key ingredients in a digital transformation, right? How does the process look? And that why I want to mention that is to indicate where innovation falls in the digital journey, right? Of course, no presentation webinar is complete without looking at some statistics, right? We'll look at some numbers relevant to this topic, and then go a little bit deeper into what are the challenges in innovation, some inputs on how to build an innovative team or innovative organization, how to overcome certain innovation challenges. How do you measure? That is important, right? Whether it is innovation or whatever you do, how do you measure, right? We'll look into that. And the importance of key roles in an organization, irrespective of which domain or which industry you're looking into, how important this is to drive or foster innovation as part of your digital transformation journey, right? We'll look into that. And I just picked up 2 examples, which I will share in terms of how relevant innovation was in terms of how the company has done their digital transformation, right? So 2 very relevant example. And if time permits, I'll be fast. If time permits, I'll also talk about what are we doing in SocGen, Société Générale. It's a French bank We have a global capability center here in Bangalore and Chennai. So I'll talk about how we are an innovative bank, and what are the key ingredients that we have done and how it has helped. Right, about 5-10 minutes. That's the according to me, that would be the cherry on the cake, which ChatGPT would not be able to bring to the table. Right, and of course Q&A. Definitely, I hope there will be some interesting questions. Right. Okay. So quickly, let's go to some of the buzzwords. Right. There are 4 key buzzwords I want to just introduce you to. One is digitization, right? So what is digitization? It's about creating a digital representation or a digital view of a physical data or a physical item, right? A simple example could be a digital copy of a paper document, right? You scan it and using OCR software, scanner, whatever, it becomes a digital copy, right? That is digitization, right? It's the one which connects the physical world to the software or the electronic world, right? That is digitization. What is digitalization, right? Many might not feel that there is some difference or might not have heard about it, but it's about enabling process by harnessing the digitized data, which I mentioned in the previous step, right? For example, in the banking world, if any of you are in the banking world, you would have heard about STP, straight through processing, right? Wherein, for example, I'll give an example in the retail world, when you apply for a credit card, the complete process, as much as possible, if it gets completed without human intervention, is called a straight through process, right? It could be the same in any other industry, but STP is more relevant in the banking world, right? So when you have digitized that process using the underlying digital data, is called digitalization, right? Wherein you improve the existing process, but you do not really transform the process, right? That's where the digital transformation comes into the picture, right? Which is about managing the process, right? During the digital transformation, you can look at re-engineering, you can look at Lean Six Sigma, you should definitely adopt digital technology, innovation, all of that. I'll talk about a few of those in the next slide. But digital transformation is predominantly driven by strategy, right? And it's top down, right? Your organization will say, yes, this is the digital transformation journey that we want to achieve. It could have various purpose, right? It could be for increasing the top line growth, increasing the HR process, or the employee retention, whatever it could be, right? So it's driven top down, right? And last one, innovation. So the first 3 was key in terms of understanding the difference between each one of them. Last one is about innovation, right? So innovation, I would say it's about controlling the creative chaos, right? Creativity is part of innovation. It's one of the ingredient of innovation. How do you channelize this creativity to bring out innovative ideas, innovative products is what innovation is about, right? And it is bottoms up driven, right? While you might think that the senior management or the senior stakeholders could say what the company need to do in terms of innovation, but innovation comes at grounds level. People on the ground are the one who are in sync with what's happening, what are the challenges, and what do they need to innovate, or what do they need to change, right? And of course, unlike any other things, as the whole digital transformation, innovation is clearly driven by passion, creativity, curiosity, necessity, and things like that, right? Right. So these are the quick buzzwords. It'll give some foundation in terms of what we talk for the rest of the session, right? So here I will quickly, in the interest of time, I'll quickly bring about the transformation journey. I mean, this is an industry format. This is not something that I am saying. It's industry format, right? Like I said, digital transformation is driven by strategy. I'll talk about culture and other things later on. And you look at customer feedback, or you look at customer requirements, you do process change, you innovate along the process, you leverage technology or the digital tools, and you also look at data, right, in terms of what you have done, how you have done, how far you have met, right? So this is the digital transformation journey, right? So for the rest of the presentation, I will talk about the innovation part, which is right here, right? So some numbers, right? Some statistics, right? Last year, when a survey was done, I think this was from PwC. When a survey was done, 60% of the CEO agreed that digital transformation is critical to their growth. It's one of the digital transformation is one of the driver. I mean, this was across industry, pre-COVID, post-COVID, whatever you say, has brought digital transformation at the forefront. All right, you would have heard Satya Nadella say that today every company is a software company. All right, so that says a lot in terms of, you would be wondering, how can a manufacturing firm or an automotive industry be called a software firm, right? The clear example is Tesla, right? While Tesla produces car, it started as a software company or as a non automobile company, right? So they started with that thought process, right? So that's what the CEOs feel like, right? And look at the spend in another 1 year. This global spending on digital transformation could reach close to 3.4 trillion US dollars, right? So this talks about the amount of investment companies are making on the digital transformation. Innovation would be embedded as part of, right? So this is where the icing on the cake is, right? That innovation contributes to 20% of this investment. Of course, it can vary from industry to industry. Certain industry like pharma and others would have a high percentage of investment in their innovation, right? Certain industry which are very mature, which have commoditized their products, might have a lesser percentage. However, what is key here is the depth of innovation, or what is the percentage of investment that innovation commands is key, right? And 93% of company agree that innovative technologies are absolutely necessary to achieve their digital transformation goals, right? So 93 is a huge percentage. Again, signifies the importance of innovation, right? And in this, companies are not alone, right? They are working in an ecosystem wherein they seek help from their third parties for their digital transformation. I'll also talk about it in the upcoming slides. Last but not the least, you could use the digital tools, you could have the vision, you could have the culture, all of that. What many companies have realized is, and this was from a Gartner survey, is that when HR improves the innovative effectiveness of the organization, and here I will, when I come to what Society General is doing, I will talk about relevant points. Companies have realized if HR is becoming a catalyst in bringing innovative effectiveness within the company and the organization, it could be through policies, it could be through various programs, the revenue per employee increases significantly, almost increases by 8,800 US dollars. Of course, this survey or insight is from the US market, right? So summary, you see the importance of digital transformation for business CEOs and the relevance or the key ingredient within the transformation in terms of what innovation does, right? So now let's go into the what are some of the key challenges in innovation, right? First is competition is increasing in the digital world, right? Access to data and information is at our fingertips, right? Be it end consumer or within your business, you have access to data, information at the next moment itself, right? And expectations are changing, right? With the various choice we as consumers have, the expectation increases. With expectation, I mean the features, the quality, reliability, everything, right? So with all of this, there is more scrutiny in terms of operational practices, and it is narrowing down the window of opportunity to exploit market insights, right? That's where companies need to be innovative, right? That's the point I'm trying to make, right? Time to market has shortened, right? Earlier, companies would have programs to innovate, or R&D programs that would run into months and years. And once they bring out the product, those products would still be relevant in the market, right? Today, the time to market has shortened, right? For various reasons, because data is available, information is available, so your competitors could take advantage of that. So you have to have a strong digital transformation framework, a strong digital transformation set up in your organization, wherein through innovation, through process improvement, you are able to bring products into relevant products into the market at the shortest time, right? That is key, right? And advances in technology is faster. And why I bring this point is, in many cases, for example, companies which are into deep core R&D, where laws and regulations are, according to me, slow in catching up, right? So you could probably lose out on your IP, or you could lose out on your competitive edge. So companies need to look at, when I do innovation, how do I retain that innovative capabilities, or how do I retain what I have innovated, and how do I ensure that it is relevant in the market, right? One way is to put in an IP towards it and have some regulatory framework. If you're not able to put an IP on it, how can you monetize your innovation? How can you probably white label your innovation, right? Many companies, they have white labeled their product. So when you white label, you probably are not incentivizing your competitors to copy you, right? Because the product is available with the various brand names, right? Things like that, right? So companies also have to think about all of those things, right? These are some of the challenges, right? Failure to deliver on time, right? Many of us use Apple product, and we look very much into the Apple Day, where Steve Jobs started that trend of launching innovative product, right? So we look forward to those days, those new products, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if companies fail to deliver based on their promises, based on the trends, it will have a big impact on the image. It will have a big impact on the brand value, right? Combining IT skills with core business process is a big challenge, right? Technology transformation or digital transformation has been there in the past 2 to 3 decades, but companies have been innovating with whatever tools and processes they have in their place for decades before that, right? Now, the digital transformation has only given you an additional catalyst to accelerate your innovation, right? And various other things that I mentioned, right? So how do you combine these two things, right? How do you combine the digital tools that are available within your business process is also a challenge, right? When you have a global firm operating in different markets with different consumer expectations, with different laws and other things, it's not easy, and it's an ongoing journey for business to combine this the skills, right? So no, before I go into that, I want to mention here is where I wanted to mention about how one company has done this very effectively even before the digital world, right? I can think of 3M as being one of the most innovative company in the world. Fortunately, about 8 or 9 years back, I had the option of going to their head office in Minneapolis, looking at their innovation center, right? So many of you have heard about 3M. The sticky notes that we use is one of their product. You'll be surprised, they have 118,000 plus products in their portfolio, right? And how have they been able to have so many products? And if you look at that number, it's an average of about 25 products every week that they bring to the market, right? You'll be wondering, I've only seen so many 3M products, Scratch Guard, sticky notes, and few other things. I can't think of them having 118,000 products, right? That's the number of products that they have in their portfolio, right? And like I was saying, if you translate that through their years, it's about 25 new products per week, right? And they have about 3,700 patents as of last year or something like that, right? So being the most innovative company in the world with many awards to their in their kitty, they had some very unique characteristics in their organization, which has made them reach where they are today. For example, today we hear Microsoft, Google also giving their employees 10%, 20% of time to research, innovate, come up with ideas, something beyond their regular expectation, right? 3M innovated this in 1948, right? They launched something called as the 15% program, right? Wherein 15% of the employees' time was dedicated to innovation. And the sticky note that we all know came as part of that 15% rule, right? And many of the products that 3M has have been innovated by accident, right? And why I'm giving this example is because some of the slides that I talk next will have some relevance, a lot of relevance to what 3M has done, right? So I took my thought and insights from what 3M has done, right? What else? Yeah, that's about 3M. Yeah, I wanted to give that example before I move on to how to build an innovative team or innovative organization. All right. First is culture. Adopting innovative culture, right? Where does culture come from? Culture has to come from from the top, right? It's not like I have a culture, innovative culture in this team, and it will work, right? The culture has to come top down, and it has to be nurtured, right? It's not like a vision statement that you say this is our culture, but it has the CEO, the senior stakeholders, mid-level managers, employees have to walk that culture, and the support system needs to exist, right? It's so innovative culture innovation. It's all about building the culture that enable the employees to create new ideas and bring them into reality, right? By having these innovative strategies, the companies can better support the digital transformation, both for your internal and external ecosystem, right? So as part of the culture, the key ingredient of culture is encouraging creativity, right? Where employees are encouraged to think out of the box, right? Again, that's what 3M did, and that's where they were able to transform their company. 3M was a mining company, right? Today, if you say this company started as a mining company, you would be amazed, right? So that's where thinking out of the box, they were able to evolve over the years, right? And creativity. Why creativity is important? Because creativity breeds innovation. It's very important to foster a creative environment in your organization, right? Next is open to failure, right? So whenever you're talking about creativity or innovation, doing R&D, failure is part of the business, right? And you can't say that I don't want my employees, I don't want my team to fail, right? Then you're right there shutting down innovative culture, the innovative mindset. You're creating a fear. People will not take chances and things like that, right? So it's okay to fail, right? It's important to allow your employees to make mistakes, right? And when they make mistakes, you should have a framework, or you should have an ecosystem which makes these failure as a learning opportunity, right? What can you learn from this failure, right? That is important, right? And as much as you would celebrate success, you also need to celebrate failure, because there's something to learn in that failure, right? Which you can adopt down the line. And like I'll just bring up few additional bullet points here. Like that, what you learn from the failure is not to repeat those mistakes again, right? Which could, if you keep repeating the same mistake, it will prove expensive for your organization and it will lose its value, right? So it's important to fail, it's important to fail early if you're in certain industry like the software industry, where we in terms of the agile development we talk about fail early, right? But it's also important to learn from that and avoid repetitive failures, right? And be transparent and make failure visible, because if you have failed and people do not know why you have failed, they will make the same mistakes. Other team members within your team, or other team members within the organization, they'll make the same mistake, right? And provide a safety net, right? Why this is important, like I mentioned earlier, is you should not penalize people for failing with the right intent, right? And provide a safety net in terms of your support to them, so that they feel that, okay, if I fail, it's my manager, my boss will not penalize me, right? So that gives them a motivation to experiment. And many, like I said, in 3M's case, many products came out because of experiment, because of certain things that the employees were doing, right? That is key, right? um, I remember one more quote. I forgot who has said this. The quote goes as something like this. It says, if you can't innovate a product, no, let me rephrase that. It says, you cannot innovate a product if you don't innovate the people behind it, right? It's a very strong statement. So what that means is, if you want an innovative product, your people have to be innovative, right? That's the in a nutshell, right? Next, one of the key elements of organizations which are innovative, which have grown, is they encourage continuous learning. All right, it's very, very important that your team members continuously learn, not necessarily from their mistakes, but also to adapt new technologies, to understand what's there in the market, what's there in the new in the market, and how it can be adopted to their products and to their organization. That's very important. A learning organization always thrives, right? Identify and involve experts and domain leaders, right? It's very important to have experts involved in the process, right? It also brings in value that these experts and domain leaders bring to the table, and what they can share with your team members, right? It's not like an expert is sitting somewhere doing something on the silo. He or she should be part of the process, part of the team. It's very important, right? And provide incentives. Financial incentive is one of them. So when I say incentives, it's not just giving money, right? It could be on various fronts, but financial incentive is one of the key benefits, right? So have a framework within your innovation program, within whatever you have, where people are rewarded, right? It could be financial incentives, award, any kind of other recognition, right? This is a motivational thing for your employees, right? And while all of this is in place, there needs to be continuous support from your senior management, right? And um, it's very important that all of these innovation, all of these transformation are aligned to your vision, right? That is very key, right? Or else you could be doing something else that is not aligned to your company's vision or what you're selling to the market, right? So that alignment needs to be there, and that check needs to be there, and that support needs to be there from senior management, right? So the list goes on, but the message from this is, you need to have a culture, you need to have a system which doesn't penalize for failure, which is willing to take risk, continuous learning organization, and something which rewards the employees, right? These are the key ingredients which will ensure that, irrespective of which industry you are working in, your teams, either as individuals or as a group, will be successful in bringing innovative thought process in the transformation, right? So next, I will go into few points on what I feel are some of the tips or suggestions to overcome the innovative challenges. All right, uh, or what do you need to do it? Right. First thing is, you have to remove barriers to collaborate across geographical boundaries. All right. Today, the world has shrunk so much because of the connectivity, because of the movement, because of the awareness, that collaboration has to be global. All right. Gone are the days where something used to be not discovered, something used to be innovated in one part of the globe and distributed for rest of the world, right? It might still happen, nothing wrong in that, but more the collaboration across geographies will ensure that you're faster. Like I had mentioned, time to market is key. So that way, if some other team members across region in different offices are doing something, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to replicate that. You can collaborate well. You can bring products, process, and other things quicker, and in a quality and better way, right? That is what I'm talking about in terms of removing the barriers, right? Implement a platform for collaboration and innovation. It's very important. When I talk about platform, it's not about a software platform, right? It's about a system. It could be a software platform as well, where people can collaborate and innovate, right? Today, digital platforms are very key for collaboration, right? Some of the concepts of gamification, communication features, it could be communication using Slack, Teams, or whatever, fosters collaboration, right? And when you collaborate, ideas are exchanged, innovation happens naturally, right? Um, Include your suppliers, partners, and whoever are there in your ecosystem as part of your innovation process, right? If you feel that only my innovation team, only my R&D team needs to bring about new products, new process, new systems, or whatever, uh, you will not be successful, right? You need to leverage your suppliers. You need to leverage your partners, right? I remember when I started my career in 1993, I was working for IFB Industries, which manufactures washing machine and automobile parts, right? So there, I had first-hand experience in terms of how the suppliers used to give us ideas, right? While we had a design and R&D team internally, suppliers, and these were suppliers sometimes who don't have the best technology or the best tools on their side, but experience and having worked on the products, they used to give ideas. They used to work with us and give ideas, right? A simple example, all right? So that's where you need to include the suppliers, partner, and harness their ideas to bring about innovation in your transformation, right? Have key stakeholders at the right level, right? What I mean by it is by involving stakeholders from different levels and departments, you can ensure that innovation efforts are aligned with business objectives and priorities, and that are integrated into your day-to-day operations, right? This is where the support that I talked about in the previous slide will come. The checks and balances will be there, and also the stakeholders can help in building the culture of collaboration, engagement, ownership, and the whole nine yards. All right. And next two things I will go in a little bit detail in the next couple of slides. But your decision should be data driven, and majority of them, right? We can't say that 100% of the decisions are data driven, because data is very confusing many times. We have plethora of data. To go into the data insights, slice and dice, and take a decision might not be apt at all times. But to the extent possible, your data should drive your decision making process. All right. Then, last but not the least, anything that you do, it's not necessarily from an innovation or a digital transformation, you have to measure the impact, right? Or else the money that you put in, the time that you put in, the effort that you put in will not be justifiable for all the investment made, right? Unless you are working in, even the NGOs will have measures put in place to measure the impact of what time and effort they are spending, right? That's important here, right? So with this things in place, you can overcome some of the innovation challenges in your organization and your teams, right? So next, I will go into what are the measures that impact the innovation in your digital journey, right? You might say, Prabhas, whether you're doing innovation or digital transformation, KPIs have been there forever, right? I agree. But KPIs become more important in the digital transformation, right? To measure the impact of digital innovation, business must identify the key metrics that matter the most to their goals, right? You would have defined the goals. Your KPIs should be relevant to those goals, right? These metrics could include growth in revenue, customer retention, customer acquisition, cost effectiveness, employee productivity. There could also be digital transformation or innovation in within the organization, right? For your internal needs, right? But it should all be relevant to those business goals, right? By identify these KPIs, you can track their progress and make data-driven decision, right? That is key. Next is, when you do that, you need to have a baseline, right? Establishing a baseline metrics for each KPI before implementing a change, or else you will not know where am I today, right? And have I improved? Have I matured? Have I brought about significant change, right? This will also help you compare your performance or where you are, what you have achieved against the industry benchmark. All right. Many times, if certain process or certain innovative tracks or innovative initiatives have an industry benchmark, you could use that to see where you are, right, and what you need to improve. Right. That's very important. It could also be competitor data, right. The biggest competition or the biggest industry where I can see this is the mobile handset, right? So you can see how each of the mobile players are innovative, are doing better than their competitors, are doing better than the previous model, right? In terms of features, in terms of performance, and things like that, right? So industry benchmark, competitor benchmark, and your own benchmark, right? What you have done last year, what you did in the previous programs, if it is relevant, how you can do better, right? So that baselining is also important, all right? Of course, I mentioned about taking decisions based on data, all right? So in the digital world, they say data is the new oil, or data is the new gold, which is very true, because there is so much of data that we process day to day. This can help us in taking the right decision, in ensuring that the investment go into the right innovative activities, the investment goes into the right channel, and things like that, right? That is very key. But it's not easy. Organizations are still finding it very hard to digest the data, to make meaningful, to bring out meaningful thought from the data, and so forth. But there are tools, Tableau and other things, which will help you slice and dice and give you the insights into it. And of course, on top of it, the AI ML tools in today's world will also give you insight into what decisions these tools will recommend, right? Last but not the least, soliciting feedback, right? Feedback from internal employees, your customers, and key stakeholders to measure the impact of the digital innovation is very important, right? Because they are the one who are experiencing the end product, and this feedback can give you valuable insight into what are the areas that need to improve. And of course, this goes back into your data model in terms of the data insights and other things, right? So these are key. Establishing a KPI which is relevant to your goals, baselining the KPI, data-driven decision-making process, and a continuous feedback. And feedback is not one, it's a continuous loop, and it doesn't need to happen at the end. Feedback needs to be at each and every step of the process, right? Okay, I'm just checking time. It's 6:40. Shivam, are there any? Sorry, I didn't ask if there were any questions. Shivam, are there any questions?
Yeah, Prabhas, there are some questions on the chat.
Okay. Okay, since I have just two or three more slides, I'll just finish in the next 10 minutes at the most, right? So please bear with me. So I'll quickly go through it. It's very important for senior stakeholders within the organization to support digital innovation, right? I'll go all the way up to the board, the company board, which have to put in the right management, the management that have the right vision for building the innovation culture that I spoke about, and having and being digital savvy, right? And the board also need to learn and advise along the way, right? Because in today's world, be it technology or even non-technology things are advancing, progressing in such a rapid way that if the board are not in touch with that respective industry, in touch with what is happening across that industry, they will not be able to advise the senior management and so forth, right? And focus on long term, right? Because in some cases, innovation cannot happen in one quarter, because if the company is looking at quarterly results, yes, of course, there is pressure from the market and investors to deliver results on a quarterly or a yearly basis, but the board has to focus on long-term goals as well, right? That's my point here, right? The CEO, right? This is where the buck stops at the end, right? So he or she is running the company strategy, is the one who, along with stakeholders, put in the vision and the culture for the organization, and managing or facilitating change. That is very important, because change is constant. The CEO needs to facilitate that and ensure that the vision or the culture is not eroded as we move along, right? So quickly, I also feel the role of CFOs have changed. Gone are the days where CFO's role was just to look at the balance sheet and ensure that the company is profitable, making money for the investors, blah blah blah, right? Now the CFOs are also technology savvy, right? They are pulled into investment discussions. They need to analyze the impact of the technology investments, the impact on the innovation that is happening, and be willing to take calculated risk, right? So they need to be technology savvy. So if any of you are in any of these roles or aspiring for these roles, keep in mind what I'm talking about. Very, very important, right? And in the last few years, or in the last decade or so, the importance of CTO, it started a chief technology officer. Now it's also expanded to becoming a chief transformation officer. So whatever you call, right? So these are the individuals, or this role is key in orchestrating the digital strategy, right? These are technology focused guys, transformational focused guys who can help the organization build that culture that the CEO has envisioned. He or she is the one who would motivate the teams and support that innovative mindset, right? More and more organizations are creating these kind of roles, chief transformation officers, because they feel that for the company to go through the innovation cycle, to go through the digital transformation, a CTO is key, right? So there could be other roles within the organizations. I'm not saying they are not important, but these 4 key roles are very important for organizations to foster digital innovation. All right. I'll just give 2 examples quickly, and I will stop. If time permits, I'll talk about some of the key things what we are doing in SocGen as well. Right. First is all of us love pizza. Domino's is one of the global brand and of the market leader in India, right? So the way Domino's has leveraged technology and how they have innovated in terms of their chat box, right? Where you can not only order, but also track. Of course, this is not new. All of us using mobile devices, applications would say this is there for a long time. But why I gave this example is because Domino's was one of the forefront in terms of adopting the chatbot AI ML capabilities, depending on your order history, liking, geography, blah, 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 some of the suggestions it gives and things like that, right? So that's the innovation that has all happened in the backend, and how they have transformed their digital process, how they have transformed how they have digitized their process, how they have digitized their process to bring all of this to the forefront to customers, and have their process in the backend to cater to this, wherein they can bring in the pizza at your doorstep in 30 minutes, right? Nothing like it, right? It's almost Thursday. We feel like having a pizza either today or tomorrow, right? Next example, I just wanted to bring two outside of the IT world or the banking world, because that's where normally I try to talk about, is the Audi. All of you might have or are aware of the Audi brand, right? Recently, I think it was last year or the year before, Audi introduced a innovative solution called Audi City, right? Wherein sitting at your home, you can experience everything that you would experience in a showroom, right from looking at different models, both interiors, exterior, all of those existed in the portal earlier, right? If you go to cardeco.com or Carvale, you could do that. But do look at Audacity. It's an immersive experience with virtual reality, augmented reality, where not only exploring the interior exterior features, you can experience the showroom as well, right? And also have your car customized, right? Where all of this integrates within their supply chain, integrates with their backend system and things like that, right? So what is important here is that innovative mindset as to what I need to bring to the customer, what I can wow the customer with, and what is the transformation I need to do by utilizing the digital tools and other things within my organization, right? So that's what has done, and there are scores of examples like this. I would not bore you with any of them. So that's where I would like to end my short presentation or short webinar on this topic, and I'll be open to questions. And while answering question, I'll bring some insights into what we are doing at SocGen, right? So Shivam, I think I will go to the. Should I go to the Q&A or the chat?
Well, I can read it out for you.
Okay.
That's sure. So, first question came from Siddharth. He was asking if digitization is top down, is there a risk of not being in sync with ground realities where the down could be most affected? They likely know their work best, but have little contribution on the decision process.
Yeah. Thanks, Siddharth, for this question. Yeah, I see that. You're saying is digitization is top down. Is there a risk of top not being in sync with ground realities? No, that's where the organizations, at least in SocGen, okay, this is where I'll give the example of SocGen so that you can relate to it, right? SocGen has transformed itself to being a very flat organization, right? We don't have that many layers. Between the individual and the ground and the CEO, we have at the max probably 4 or 5 layers, right? It's not hierarchical at all. This delayering has ensured that the senior management, including the CEO, is aware of what's going on the ground, right? Of course, being an organization of 160,000 employees, the CEO or the senior management cannot know about every little project. But what I'm trying to say is, with this delayering, with the intent of the senior management to be connected with the employees, they understand the value that the employees are bringing to the table. They understand what's going on in key areas that is relevant to the organization, right? Another example, the CEO, global CEO, initiated a program called Catalyst in Society General. This is the Catalyst is a key innovative program. It is a yearly program, happens once in a year, but goes on for the year. But the entry point is once in a year, wherein all employees, all suppliers, all partners are free to propose new ideas, right? The CEO and the exclusive panel reviews those to understand what ideas are coming from different groups. It could be from the retail, it could be from we have a organization subsidiary called ALD, which is into automotive leasing. It could be from that. It could be in corporate investment banking. It could be in from various divisions, right? So they understand the pulse of what is the capability of each of these groups, what ideas are coming from, and what challenges they are addressing, right? So this gives them insight into where they need to make that investment, what ideas need to be shortlisted, and many of these ideas have grown on to become startups, right? And that's the intent of the Catalyst program as well, wherein the company invest money, they bring in those employees who have proposed those ideas, and put them in those initiatives for 6 months, 1 year, nurture them to become standalone startups or standalone product groups, right? So, Siddharth, to your answer, it was the synchronization was challenging years ago, but with delayering, with the digitization where the information is available to the top management or at any layer, I think be it the CEO or the senior management who are key decision makers have access to this data for better understanding of what's going on the ground and key decision making, right?
Prabhas, if you want to take a look at the chat, there are
Yes.
yeah.
Next is Vidhan has a question. SocGen's core market also have some of the stricter data privacy laws. How is SocGen working with this and around that? Yes. So SocGen being a European bank, the first privacy law was the GDPR, right? Which has a global impact as well, right? And being a bank where we are dealing with money of individuals and business, we value data to the core, right? And being a bank, I will not go through any examples. You are aware, with a bank, trust is everything. If I, as an individual, I, as a retail customer, lose trust on a bank, I'm out of it, right? So it's a very critical element of the functioning of the bank, the trust, right? So with that, we keep trust at the topmost thing. With that mindset, with that requirement, everything else is driven, right? Some of it is privacy laws or regulations. It could be from ECB or the Fed in the US or the local laws. We adhere to all of them. And each year, all of the employees go through mandatory trainings, be it to data privacy, be it to data regulations, GDPR things, Basel regulations. There are so many things. All of the employees, whether you are in the IT department, operations, HR, we go through it, right? So this way, what the company has done is they have embedded all of this into our mindset, right? Today, on top of it, on top of the data privacy, cybersecurity is become has come to the forefront, right? In the last 2 to 3 years, since the Russia-Ukraine war has erupted, there has been so much of data breaches, intrusion in various companies. We have taken that very seriously, right? So we have not only implemented our systems to take care of it, but at the end of the day, systems can do only so much, right? People involvement is crucial, right? If our firewall, if our system cannot block, let's say, a rogue email, and an employee clicks on a link and a malware is distributed, the collateral damage is huge, right? So as simple as educating the employees of how serious cybersecurity is and what all steps they need to take is also part of the process, right? So these are few of the examples of what SocGen has done. I'm sure other banks are also doing that, but for us, trust is at the core and is at the topmost. Everything else that we have, be it data privacy, cyber security, our other operations, other thing is based on that, right? Shailendra, you have a question. These types of initiative run into iteration. Can you just expand on it to be clear what initiatives you're talking about? Shailendra, if you're still there.
We can move on to the next question. That is, I think, by Santosh, is innovation.
Okay, I'll skip to the next question. Yeah, is innovation a transformation? Um, Depending on how you look, yes, it could be. If you remember the slide that I mentioned about the transformation journey, innovation is part of it. All right. Through innovation, you can transform. All right. But you don't do innovation. You don't take up an innovation program saying I will do this for some transformation. Right. As part of the transformation program, you look at opportunities to innovate. Right, that is the essence of it. Right, so that's the answer to you saying if innovation is a transformation or not. Right? Innovation is one part of the holistic view. Okay, Shailendra, again, it looks
That
like a
was more of a statement during this.
more like a statement than a question. Okay, how to attribute improvement in KPIs to the digital innovation? Okay, in SocGen, again, I'll give example. Good opportunity. We have OKR, right? Objectives and key results. Every year, we build upon previous year's OKR, and all of these OKR are in some way or the other, be it related to technology, be it related to people, be it related to strategy, has some element of digital transformation, innovation, process change, and things like that, right? For example, I'll give one example because there are a lot. I mean, we have about last year we had about 10 plus OKR. This year we reduced a little bit. I'll just talk about one of the key people engagement OKR, right? In terms of our employee onboarding. This became very important during the COVID because we were onboarding people, our employees, in the digital world, right? Many of them did not come for interviews, face-to-face interviews. Many of them could not step into our office, right? So we had programs to improve on the onboarding of our employees, right? Right from the interview process to day one of induction, to putting that individual into the project team, and the journey that they go through in a year, covering various mandatory trainings and their project work, right? So I'm not saying before that this process was broken, right? This process had some elements of digital components in it, but the stitching together of this whole process was not the best, right? So in the last 2 to 3 years, we have many OKR which have looked at how can we innovate, how can we improve on this journey, and we have achieved. It's still a journey, right? And I would say that this is done. The complete platform or the process is digitized or it's transformed, but we have made significant improvements, right? For example, last year, if we say new employees completed mandatory trainings within the first 3 months, this year we have a significant improvement through the tools and utilities that we have put in place and other things. New employees are finishing those mandatory trainings within 1 month, right? What does that mean is, why is that important? Because like I mentioned earlier, they need to be aware. Many of them do not come from a banking environment. Many of them need to understand, like the question earlier, the data privacy laws, the cyber security, what is GDPR. Many do not know about it, right? So the sooner they know about it, the better they will be able to be cognizant of those things and contribute in their project, right? So those KR are reviewed and improved upon year on year, right? So that's how we are improving our KPIs in our digital transformation, right? I didn't want to talk about our adoption to cloud and our transformation using AI, ML and other things, because I don't know if the audience are all from the technology background, but I gave the people OKR or the people KR as an example. Next question from Asha. What are some of the affordable but effective AI/ML tools that small and medium business can use? Should CTO be only internal or external? Would be an option to bring in outside perspective. Would love to hear SocGen example. They will give us practical insights. Okay, multiple questions here, right? First, I will take the CTO example, right? Whether it is a CTO CEO or CFO, companies might always say, I want fresh blood. I want somebody outside of my industry. Because many times individuals within the industry, within the company would have fallen into the trap of getting into the business norm. They would probably not be able to think out of the box, right? It depends. There is no straight answer, right? And there are pros and cons. Somebody coming from outside might have a learning curve, right? Understanding that new industry, if he or she is from a different industry, understanding that particular company culture, history, what they have done, all of that. That might take time, right? And depending on the pace at which the individual adopts, he or she can be successful. Whereas if you nurture somebody internally who has grown with the organization, who knows what the challenges are, who knows what has worked, what has not worked in the past, and if that person is technology savvy, bring in the industry perspective, understands what's happening in the industry, what's out there, nothing like it. That would, if I would, if I were the CEO or the board, and if I find somebody like that, I would hire somebody internally. If not, I would go external, right? So, so Asha, it has pros and cons, and not one option might suit every company, right? Coming to your question, I don't know what do you mean by affordable but effective AMI tools. Let's not go into the cost analysis of any AMI tools. So I would answer your question in a little bit different way, and I hope my answer will add some value to your question. Rather than looking at affordability, you have to look at relevance of AML tool, right? Today, everybody is behind AML, right? Digital transformation started a couple of years or even probably a decade back. Now, what's next? A company is looking at, okay, everybody is talking about AML solution. I mean, ChatGPT is also picking up, but I will not go there. I'll just stay at AML. Everybody is talking about we need to adapt, but just like the mistakes that many companies did in adopting technology or not making the right decision in what tools and technology that they need to do, companies should avoid making the same mistake in adopting AML, right? What is important is to first define the use case for the AML, and that's what we do in SocGen, right? We don't just go and say let's start a AML project without understanding the use case. It's not just AML, any other project, right? So specifically with AML, use case definition and the value is important, right? Then comes what models you need to use, what technology you need to do, whether you can look at some open source or off the shelf and things like that, right? So I'll not answer the affordable part, but I'll answer how to approach the AML topic, right? So where will AML come into the picture? Where you have repetitive process, where you have something which is data driven, because in the machine learning you have to feed that with data. That's where it learns the patterns over the course of time and the accuracy improves, right? For example, in some of the projects that we have where we have implemented ML solution is in terms of our covenant documents or some of our we have various documents, right? Where we are through OCRization, we are scanning through the document, picking up key information and processing through our ML tool, right? And in those projects, we started off with some 60% predictability or 60% accuracy. And as the ML model has learned with good data, that accuracy is now in some of the projects around 90 to 95%. Anything above 95% is a good ROI on your ML use case, right? You need to reach that, right? Beginning from day one, you will not reach that. If somebody says, I rolled out a ML framework or ML model and I achieved 95% accuracy, predictability, whatever, they are just making up numbers, right? It will be somewhere around 60, 70% when you start. And as the model learns, as the quality of data improves, the predictability or the output is 95 plus, right? So key is identifying the use case and the ROI, all right? Because this takes time. It's not like you can get a ML model out of the shelf and implement into your system, right? Because it needs to be integrated in the ecosystem. Data needs to be fed. The output needs to go into some other system where your users will be able to make the decision. Some of those decisions could be automated using AI tools. But depending on the level of confidence, you would still want some manual intervention. You still want some human individuals to take decisions. All right. So that's my answer. I hope I gave you some insights into how to look at the business case or the use case on that topic. Right? Okay. Sorry, where is the next one? Okay. Can you please elaborate the role of CXO? CXO can be CEO, CTO, CFO. So I already spoke about it. I think Sanjeev, I have answered that in one of the slides, and the importance of what each of these roles play in the organization related to fostering innovation and helping in the digital transformation. Right? You can give your views on design thinking and digital transformation in today's world. Yes, very important. Om Prakash, thanks for that question. Design thinking is key, right? Because in our organization, we don't jump onto an idea and start coding or start building BRD documents. All right, the design thinking process, understanding the user journey, understanding the persona, building that as a digital mind map is part of the process, right? And there is a consulting division. It's called SG Consulting within our organization, which does this, right? Of course, by this, I'm not saying the whole design thinking process is centralized. Depending on the nature of the use case, nature of the problem we are trying to solve, the design thinking can also happen in individual teams on the ground. But it's very important part of your digital transformation journey because they give you insights into what needs to be done, what processes needs to be addressed, what tools and technology need to be brought in place, and the success of a digital transformation is defined in the design thinking workshop, right? So that's where 30 to 40% of our investment in a transformation project goes in the early stages of the design thinking, mind map, UX reviews, blah, 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 right? Very important in today's world. Next question, how to deal with situations in which a person who tried something completely new idea, explore, but failed, and then got the feedback from boss, you failed to deliver XYZ project, right? On it, I'll just see how many more questions we have in the interest of time. I'm okay to, it's 7:10. I'm okay to stretch for another 5-10 minutes if everybody is okay, right? So Praveen, Dr. Praveen, thanks for that question. See, it depends on the industry you are, right? Certain industry, failure might not be an option, all right? For example, if you are working, it's a bad example if I give it, when I say failure is not an option. For example, I'll not name the organization, I'll give the industry. For example, if you are working in a space industry, launching satellites or taking humans to outer space, or you're working in automobile industry, your end product should not have problem, right? Whereas the process that you go through to deliver that end product, you can fail in that process, right? So what I'm trying to say with that example is, it depends on where you are in the process, all right? And it's like I said, it's okay to fail. And if your project says that you and if your boss or manager says that you failed to deliver XYZ project, you need to look at it. Was it my individual failure? Was it my team that failed, and why we failed, right? And if this failure happens earlier in the cycle, better for you, right? Because then your boss might make that statement that you failed, but you failed a little bit early, right? For example, again, SocGen,
Prabhas,
all of our 100% of our IT teams are in agile setup, small team setup, and our principal thought process that we embed in each of the individual from day one is any project that you do, look at the option of doing a POC where you validate certain things, and the POC can fail. That way, you have valuable insights into whether the project should be taken up or whether anything needs to change, right? So rather than trying to get that statement from your boss at the end of the project, I would rather get that at the beginning of the project in terms of my POC having failed, my initial thought process having been failed, right? So Dr. Praveen, it's very situational in terms of the question that you have asked, but that's how I would address the situation with my boss, saying that by analyzing whether it was my individual failure or a team's failure, or were there anything else that was beyond our control that contributed for the project failure. And while accepting that failure, I will, again, like I said, we need to learn from that failure, and we need to have a root cause analysis, right? So that I am able to convince to my boss saying that why we failed and how we will ensure that next time we'll be successful. Be it whether you're repeating the same project or similar project, next time I'll be successful, right? So this way you can convince your boss saying that while it's a temporary jolt that you failed, but there is a lot of learning from it and valuable lessons to be implemented later on, right? Okay, I'll go to the next one. Sonam, as mentioned by you, innovation to be aligned with company goal and in line with the product that the organization is manufacturing and selling. But we have seen that many organizations have embraced digital transformation and offered a completely new product solution for its customer. So if we limit our innovation thinking within the existing product offering existing company goal, how the organization will achieve digital transformation? Okay, Sonam, long question or long manufacturing selling. So if I get your question right, your question is, so if we limit our innovation thinking within the existing product of existing, how the organization will achieve digital transformation? Okay. So Sonam, your digital transformation is not necessarily, need not necessarily be to bring in new products, right? What is the example I can give? Right example I can give. Right. For example, in the supply chain industry, we are talking about the couriers, right? Earlier, even in the digital world, the couriers are doing the same thing, moving packets, be it goods, documents, whatever, from one place to other, right? They didn't bring in new product, right? They're still doing the same, but they've gone through a digital transformation. Very good example, right? For your question, right? So the digital transformation that has happened in that industry is looked at how to optimize my cost, how to deliver more to the customer at lesser cost, how to give visibility and be transparent to the customer to show where your product is, right? Today, if you book with DTDC, FedEx, DHL, or whatever, you can have visibility into where your product is moving, when you can get it, right? So that's the digital transformation that they have done using the, like I said, the data that they have digitized and on the process that they have transformed. So they didn't, to the most part, of course, there were few products that they brought to the market, but with that example, the intent of the digital transformation was not to bring in new products to the market. It was to increase the value that they had in their service offering to the customer through these digital platform to optimize the process, real-time visibility, and reduce cost. Right? I hope I gave the most apt example to answer your question. Okay, I'm struggling to unmute myself. Okay, that was also one, not a question. What kind of KPI metrics are we using in SocGen to measure innovation? right? Pawan Raj, I mentioned about the people OKR, the people KR. In terms of innovation, coming to innovation, what kind of KPIs, right? For example, innovation need not always be about developing a new software, right? Innovation could also be about optimizing the process, reducing the cost, uh, reducing the time to market, blah blah blah, all of that, right? So our innovation is very broad and very thinly distributed, right? So there we have many legacy applications which have been running for many decades and years, right? So we have gone through multiple digital transformation programs where we are rewriting, introducing new applications, and also adopting cloud, right? So with all of this, at the end, key goals of the organization is to be profitable, right? Is to be profitable, is to reduce their cost, do by doing more with less money, blah blah blah, right? So some of the innovative KPIs to come to the point is what is the cost of each application. So that is measured, right? When I do transformation, if I'm taking that application from an on-premise standalone server to a cloud, be it Azure or AWS, I'm reducing my cost. If I am adopting a CI/CD pipeline, if any of you are in the software world, where my release process is completely optimized, completely automated, I've reduced the cost, I've reduced the time it takes to bring my applications to the end user. If I've adopted some advanced features that many of the cloud platforms give in terms of availability, in terms of Dockers and Kubernetes, right? I don't need to maintain my servers 24/7. Some of my applications are only used in certain time zones on certain specific days, right? So my applications are created and destroyed based on those things, right? So using all of those innovation technologies enable all of those innovation, some of the KPIs that we have put in place measures all of that thing. How are we able to reduce cost? How are we able to deliver more with less? How are we able to increase the or decrease the release cycle time, right from a user story is created to when that user story and epic goes into production? How do we reduce that, right? All of those and many more, right? I just gave few examples, right? I hope I answered your question, Pawan. Let's see if there are a few more questions. Okay, Asha thanked me. Thanks, Asha. Okay, blockchain. Okay. Okay, rest of it is thank you. Okay, I'll just share blockchain in the banking industry. It's an area which I'm not an expert, so let me be honest. So I'll take this as a last question. So blockchain is as a concept is a distributed ledger technology, right? Banking industry, I would say, is still in the very nascent stage, right? Specific to my organization, we have adopted blockchain in few of the areas where contract management is one, right? We were looking at some use cases in the structured finance along with our software solution provider, which is still in the initial concept stage, or it is still in a POC stage. We have adopted blockchain. I forgot the name of this. It's a startup and a venture that we created, which was towards offering bonds to the investors, right? So few examples there where we have adopted, but it's not as widespread as you would want it to be, right? Unlike any other industry, banking industry, especially large banks which could have probably adopted in a very aggressive way are still very cautious about it because of various things. The technology, I'm not saying the technology is not proven, but the technology needs some investment. And again, just like any other AIML or other new technology or new things, it needs some validation of the use cases, right? So we are not jumping again, like AML or blockchain, we're not jumping into it saying that, okay, it's a new technology, something new in the market, something which is buzzing, let's implement. We are very cautious on all of this to understand what is the use case and does it derive value, right? So there's no point in just adopting or embracing things without understanding the use case and delivering value, right? So that's my answer, Meenakshi. So it is still in a very nascent stage. The use cases are coming up, and some of which I mentioned have been implemented, and it will grow. And unlike AML, blockchain is going at a very slow pace, not just in the banking industry, but in many other industries. But it is picking up pace. It is picking up pace, right? Because blockchain needs to have a collaborative approach in the ecosystem. It needs to be built on trust, right? The technology gives you the inherent capability of trust, from what I understand. But still, when you talk about having blockchain in the ecosystem, being a bank dealing with money, it's very important. We are very cautious about it, right? Okay, I think rest of it, people have been generous enough and nice enough to thank me for this session. So I would like to thank each one of you for having the patience to listen to my views and giving me an opportunity for sharing my insights and experience. I hope the time you spent, it's about almost 1 hour 20 minutes, was useful. Thank you again, Shivam and Emeritus, for giving me this opportunity.
Pleasure is all ours, Prabhas. Thank you so much. This was a very informative session, and I can't thank you enough for doing this again for us. And thank you for all our participants from CDO program, from all the other leadership and senior management programs. Thank you for joining us for this session, and everybody have a great weekend ahead. Prabhas, thank you again. We'll keep in touch, and I hope you would like to address our audience one more time.
Sure. Thanks, Shivam. You all have a good evening, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.